So I want to take this opportunity to give you some of my first impressions on my first EV. This is my first time actually owning an EV, a proper EV. I've had a Chevy Volt before, but it's an EV technically, but to the average person, it's not. And I wanted to share what it's like owning a 2018 Nissan Leaf in 2024. So I'm going to have videos going over just, what this actually cost me and if this is actually a good deal economically, financially, and everything like that. But just overall, my first impressions of just being in the EV world is, and if you're somebody considering getting into a more budget EV or, a used EV, things like that, definitely recommend doing your research. So I did a lot of research before settling on the Nissan Leaf. In my particular case, this is the perfect vehicle for me based on my average commute, the charging stations that are around me, my charging situation at home, and just everything like that. It just really worked out for me to be able to find a mid-spec Nissan Leaf like this for not a whole lot of money. I mean, it was pretty reasonable, and I'll go over the financials and economics in probably another video because I literally got this for like all is said and done after everything about $1,000. And again, I'll go over that in a deeper video and stuff like that, into a deeper dive. That is not clickbait, but that is basically financially exactly how it's working out. So really blessed how that worked out. But the purpose of this video is just my overall initial impressions and kind of what you get with a mid-spec EV, and just some of the things to think about if you are looking at, potentially picking up an EV. So in my particular case, the 2018 mid-spec, the SV, and the reason I say mid-spec is because it's not the base model, it's also not the fully loaded, but this comes with a lot of really nice stuff. And just to have some reference of where I'm coming from, I came from a 2013 Toyota Camry that had no driver assistance features, even a backup camera, push button start, didn't have anything like that. So, coming into this, it honestly feels like a massive upgrade. Now, if you're coming from like a 2015, 2016, 2017 vehicle or newer, then you're not really going to see too much of new features. And a lot of the features that I appreciate in this newer vehicle aren't necessarily the EV features, but that's just, again, in my particular case, coming from where I came from. So the mid-spec does come with a lot of nice stuff. Obviously, a backup camera is nice. Does come with adaptive cruise control, which is really helpful on the highway. Also, with all Leafs, at least the second generation and up, you're going to get the e-pedal, which is a standard feature on every single Leaf, which is great. So that's going to be your one-pedal driving. It's going to give you, really nice driving experience, and just nice being able to, count on one hand the number of times that you're pressing the brake, which is just insane to me, in the average driving scenario. And so with that, you also get a lot of other stuff. You get a lot of information on how you're driving, the fuel economy, and you're also getting, heated seats, heated steering wheel, some other things like that, which I really appreciate. You also get wired Apple CarPlay, which is nice having that in a standard radio. Before, I had to get an aftermarket head unit for that, in my old Camry. And so, yeah, it's just nice having some of these features just built into it, just because it's a newer vehicle coming from what I came from before. So probably the biggest thing that anyone should be looking at in an EV is a couple of different things, but it's all related to the range and your charging situation. So with this SV that I have the 40 kilowatt hour battery pack. So that's going to net me, the original estimate is about 150 miles. I have not charged this to 100%, so I do not know I don't know what level of battery degradation, man, I can't speak. I don't know what level of battery degradation that this has, as opposed to when it was fresh off of the lot. But honestly, at like 90%, I still have, 90% state of charge. I still have about 115 miles of range. So honestly, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. And so with the range, that's one of the things that you're going to look at when you're looking at an EV. You're also going to want to look at what type of charging situation that the EV has. So with the Leaf, you're going to find the standard level 1 and 2 chargers, your J1772, I think it's called, and that's going to be your standard, plug-in chargers at home and stuff like that. But your fast chargers are going to be, with the Leaf, are going to be the chademo chargers. So if you didn't know, if you're just completely, out of the loop on what that all means, the chademo is a pretty dated form of charging an electric vehicle as far as DC charging. And so not a whole lot of stations are actively trying to use the chademo chargers. There's not a whole, you're not going to find, at least in my area, the average public charging station does not have a chademo station there, or a chademo plug or anything like that. And so I have to be a lot more selective about the public charging situations. Now, in my case, with my commute and stuff like that, I don't really have to publicly charge very often. So I do have that going for me. I do like 99% of my charging at home, and the occasional trip I will do fast charging. But that's just how it works out for me. So if you're somebody that is potentially looking at a Leaf and relying on that public fast charging, I really don't recommend it unless you have a lot of chargers near you and you've verified that there's a lot of chademo chargers specifically. Because again, just because there's a public fast charging station near you doesn't mean that it has the specific chademo plug that you need. So all that in mind, the Leaf is great in the sense that you can charge, at home the same as you would with any other EV, level 1 and 2 charging. In my case, I do exclusively level 1 charging. That's all that I need. But you do have the fast charging option, but you got to be a lot more selective about where you can go for that. The other thing to keep in mind with a Leaf is that you don't have liquid-cooled battery technology. So meaning that there is no, active thermal management for the battery. So if the battery gets hot, that's not only going to degrade the battery, but it's also going to slow down your fast charging speed as well. So you can't really count on using the Leaf in any capacity for a long road trip. If you're planning on trying to do a long road trip, doing more than one DC fast charging in a trip, in a day rather, then you're gonna have a really tough time doing that with the Leaf, because it's gonna get very hot and the charging is gonna be very slow. So it's not gonna be fun for anyone. And so yeah, with that in mind, I definitely don't recommend the Leaf for a longer trip. If you are looking at a Leaf, consider this your city car. That is what it is made for. That is what it's best at. And if you try to step outside of that box, you're going to find limitations with that. But if you buy it knowing that ahead of time, going into it, then honestly, it's one of the best EV deals that you can find on the market. So I wanted to give you some quick impressions of just what it's like coming into the EV world and just some initial thoughts on the Leaf as a whole. There's a lot more to talk about, which you will find on this channel. This is the first of many videos that will be going over just what it's like owning a Leaf, getting into the EV world, and all of the different particulars that you might be interested in. So if you are interested in anything EV, definitely consider subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.